Hey, everybody. Thank you for showing up to our very first podcast. And so I've got so many. This is gonna be Fulkin around. So that's where we're at right now. And today our very first guest is Chuck Nasty. Chuck Nasty, first of all, thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. But Chuck is an author. He's also a podcaster, gamer, father.
Not a
Um,
gamer. Not a gamer.
oh my bad,
I'm
not a
not a
gamer.
gamer. My kids are gamers.
Kids are
I am
gamers.
not a gamer. I am a
I
music.
can't.
I'm a musician though.
If I'm lucky, that's right, musician. If I'm lucky, I know how to walk through the game and get my guy to walk through the game. I can't. Anything past that, I'm done. If I have to fight dragons or something, I tried to play Skyrim. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it's probably it.
Oh my
I
god.
had an ex that was addicted to that game.
Well, my husband was I we were playing he was playing Red Dead Redemption, and I'm like,
Oh
"Oh my
yeah,
god, that's so
that's such a
cool."
fun one. Yeah.
He's like, "I know a game that will, it's easy and it's right up your alley." And I'm just like, "Awesome, let's try it." I fucking hate it.
It's
I
boring as
fucking
shit.
hate it. Oh my god, it was terrible. I'm like, I can't get past any of this. Any of the quests or side quests, I fail every time. And I'm like, if this were real life, I'd punch that person in the face.
Yeah, it's like it's like there's no option to what I would really do.
Exactly. Why don't you give me that?
Yeah.
So
No,
so basically, I just wanted to kinda, the whole premise of folking around is we're literally just folking around. We are just going to, and since I have like the greatest last name on the planet that I can use it for anything, that's what this is. And we're just gonna chill and we're gonna have little sesh where we're just, talking about everything. So I want to hear about these books though.
okay. Uh, yeah. So the two recent books that I've got out is I put out the rocking chair a few months back.
Mhm.
Uh, when did that come out? Was it February?
Well, because I remember the last one was Lot Lizard Stew.
Yeah. And I did the rocking chair originally was in the anthology Diaries of the Depraved that was put
Mhm.
out by Sarah Moon. It had me and Stuart Bray, um, McKay Watson, whatever his name is, bunch of people, uh, and postmortems in it. And I already had the idea because I told Sarah when she asked me to write something for it. I was like, I was originally gonna give her two stories, and then I was like, how about I just give you a novella, and then later down the road, like a few months later, I'm gonna just put it out by itself.
Yeah.
So because like after it was formatted and everything, it ended up being like over 100 pages.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
I don't know how people do short stories anyways.
I don't either. So sometimes my Kentucky just came out completely in the way I just said that. I don't either. Um, Jesus Christ, it happens. It happens. But the older I get, I can't escape it.
No.
I become my father is what happens. It
We
happens a
all
lot
become
being
someone in our family that we're not really.
yeah. Like it's not such a bad thing. It's just I'm just like oh
Right.
Jesus.
Right.
But yeah. So I lost train of thought on that. So the rocking chair. Yeah. Short stories. It's hard for me to write short stories sometimes unless I just have an idea that just like okay, how long can I make this? Like how long can I go with this? Because usually
Mhm.
if I have a general idea, I just run with it.
Right.
And when I do anthologies, I have to make sure I know the number that I need to stop at or be close
Right.
enough to
Yes.
because I tend to you know go off the rails a little bit.
You
I
don't say.
yeah I just I don't know. It's something I've been trying to get back into doing. Because I used to write some short stories,
Mhm.
and where I've been in a few anthologies the last couple of years, like I've kind of figured out, you know, because you pick up things,
Yeah.
as you go, and how to be a writer and how to do this and whatever, and I was just kind of the best thing to do when you're trying to figure out if you're going to write a short story or if you're going to write something longer than a short story, like if you're going to write a novella or whatever, is look at other short story collections or stuff like that, and seeing how they go about things, how different authors go about things. Like, well, because it's like I can read something and go, well, that was really quick. Because if it was me, I would have just had 2 pages describing this, that, and the other.
Right.
I've got the Stephen King syndrome. I used to have it real bad, and I've gotten better about it. Like I love King, but sometimes Stephen King has a tendency. He doesn't do it as much as he used to, but it used to drag sometimes. You know?
Well, he's also not drinking anymore, so.
Exactly. And I was gonna say, like, when I drink and write, I tend to fucking become Bukowski, and it just goes fucking everywhere.
Writing more in peace and just not so eloquently.
Yeah. Like, you know, like the last 4 chapters of Law Lizard Stew were written while I was microdosing shrooms. So, you know, and so it's just, you know, but whatever. But anyway, so the Rocking Chair is a novella, and basically it's kind of, I've always said that I can turn anything into something horrifying or gross or whatever, right?
Yeah.
My guitar player, Josh, him and his girlfriend have a rocking chair that they are convinced is haunted. It rocks back and forth by itself all the time, whatever. And I was convinced, like I went over and hung out with him one night, and we were, you know, having some whiskey and whatever outside. And I kept looking in at that rocking chair, which the funny thing is, the rocking chair that's on the cover of the book, Josh even said it looks pretty close to theirs, and it does. And
Yeah.
and I was like, how can I do this? Because it was kind of me being a smartass. Because I was like, let's see if I can do this. The rocking chair, simple. All right,
Right.
you know, Edward Lee had the television, and I love that one. Let's see what can I do with this one. And it actually was a lot of fun. I finished up most of it when I was at TBR Con last year. While I
Oh,
was
wow.
at the hotel.
Hmm.
Which the way it sounded, I don't think anybody just said it in their room and wrote, but I did a couple of nights.
Nice.
I mean, I had a bottle of whiskey and you know, whatever, things happen. So
As
I
they
have,
always do when whiskey's involved.
mhm. So like I wrote this fucking story about a rocking chair that is pretty much haunted, and when you own it, uh, a whole kind of a mess of horrible things can happen to you, and yeah, it's a fun little read, you know.
So it's not a good haunting, it's kind of like a bad haunting. You get bad stuff that happens
Oh,
to
it's
you?
definitely a bad one. Yeah, bad things,
Oh.
especially like though it's actually kind of sad, like how I do it. But there's 2 main, like an old woman, and oh well, not old, but an older woman whose husband was killed because of the rocking chair. I won't give away
He probably
how he
deserved
died.
it, but that's okay.
Not really. He just was kind of like a rich old pothead, basically.
Okay.
Um, and whatever. I won't give away how he dies because
Yeah, don't.
that's pretty fucked up. But like after he dies, she kind of figures out that the rocking chair, there's something about it. Yada yada yada, bull, whatever. She puts it in a yard sale, sells it. It's the only way it would go away. She tried throwing away the thing and it comes back. She tried burning it. It just ends up being there the next day. So she sells it to this young couple. And then you focus on the young couple, and they're running for some things, and they're destined to be together for the rest of their lives, and all this shit. And they had this rocking chair that reminds the husband of his grandfather's rocking chair, or whatever.
Mhm.
Well, and something really bad happens to them that I was like, oh, this is really sad. Why am I writing this? And it's pretty because you're like, oh, well, damn, okay,
That sucks.
yeah. And then it kind of it all wraps around. But it's a fun one. I'm actually writing something right now that I've been working on that is kind of the rocking chairs in that too.
Ooh,
So
okay.
it's kind of a side character, but
Mhm.
whatever. That's a whole other thing. And then the other book I got out, the newest one I got out is a collection called Twisted Eyeball Juice.
Yeah.
Um,
Where do you come up with these?
I did not come up with that one.
Oh, who
My,
did?
my son,
Of course. That was
he
my guess number 2.
he didn't realize it either. So he's on the autism spectrum, and he gets excited, and he stems a lot, you know, flailing his arms around and whatever, and he'll say just
Mhm.
the most random stuff just to be funny too.
Yeah.
But just stuff pours out of his mouth that I'm like, me and his sibling are both kind of like, what is that? Okay. And so
Do
like I
you
was trying
have
to
a recorder going at all times just to catch these?
nah, I remember the important ones.
You
And
should.
he was in the kitchen. Or no, I was coming out of the kitchen. He was sitting on the couch. And I remember how he said it, but he said twisted eyeball juice. And I went, that's it. And he kind of looks at me and he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, that's going to be the title of my collection. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah. And like, he got kind of a kick out of it. And
Yeah,
he got even more of a kick out of it when I showed him that it actually is going to be called that.
it really was.
And then when Crystal Bainham was trying to ask me what, I wanted the cover to be, I asked Dax. And he said a blender full of eyeballs.
And that's exactly what it is. And it looks good. It
Yeah,
looks
it's cool.
really, I wish I had a picture of it. It looks, it's, I'm telling you people, it's weird looking. It's
Yeah,
definitely, if you're into that, it is it.
it's very very graphic novel looking. Like
Hmm.
kind of it's colorful, got them purples in the background, and
Yeah.
then it's got a blender full of eyeballs and nastiness,
I mean,
and it's pretty cool. I like it. So he came up with the cover concept to it too. So
nice.
yeah, but
Nice. I might need him.
I do pay more attention to like his rambling sometimes when he's just spouting stuff off,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I'll write it down. Um, but because a lot of people have said they like the cover and they like the title a lot, so I'm
Hmm.
like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But I will definitely say this though, he is not old enough to read any story in that book. There's six
Thank you for your
stories.
contribution, but don't touch.
Yeah, not yet. There's six stories in it. But it was Filth Seed. I'm not gonna say them in order, but Filth Seed. Shit, I'm drawing a blank on all my stories. Up in Hell, um, Toxic Mouth, um, Peckerhook Princess. Um, I believe I'm. How many? I mean, I just say.
I don't even know. Sounds disgusting.
Anyway,
I
so
think it was
there's
like 4.
okay. So I'm just like, which one of it? And then there's one called Eaton. Oh fuck! It's one that I wrote for the Godless book that came out. It
Okay.
was like because God, you know what Godless is?
Isn't that a publishing company?
Yeah. They only do like digital versions of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and I've got a few things on there in case somebody wants to check that out. But
I
they
queried them, but I never.
like it's all really disgusting, just really offensive stories and stuff. But it's got there's some
Okay.
duds in there. There's a lot of good ones though. But there was a book that a bunch of us authors did. We each did like a story with like 5,000 words to put in this anthology called Against All Gods, and it was like a charity kind of thing for
Yeah.
Godless.
Yeah.
And so the story in that is really like I really enjoy it. It's pretty grotesque, and it's really screwball too. Like it's really fucked up.
Yeah.
It's called Eaton and something, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is because it's one I kind of forget about, and that's why I wanted to put it in this.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of a fun one. But yeah, the stories are gross. They're funny. Um, one of the stories in it is probably one of the funniest things I've written, called Up in Hell. It was in Sludge 2, the anthology that I did with Jason Nicky and Stuart Bray.
Hmm.
And it's funny, kind of creepy, and it's complete stoner gore. It's surrounded
Nice.
in the cannabis, um, which is something I like to add that here and there.
Hey,
Um,
I mean, whatever works. It is a natural herb that does help the body.
yes,
Just
it
saying.
does. Um, unlike this shit. But
Right. Yeah, we
but
still do that too.
unfortunately, I've got to stop before too long. I've made too many fucking promises, to myself included.
Yeah.
But yeah, toxic eyeball juice. It's a lot of fun, and it's definitely extreme splatterpunk, hardcore horror is what it is.
Okay.
It's a little bit of everything all wrapped into one. So
Yeah, so if there's something you can't handle, and I highly doubt there's any trigger warnings on this thing, we're not soft. We're Gen X. We don't do that.
yeah, I don't even
So
think about it.
I don't either in any of my books, and I'm just like, why?
Well,
I
I think that's a plus about my name is like,
Yeah,
hey, I'm
it's
Chuck
kind of
Nasty.
all there. But you always assume that it's all there in the name horror too.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever.
But yeah, it's definitely not for
The
younger
faint of
eyes,
heart.
or the faint of heart. Like anybody that gets offended easily, don't read this, or
Yeah.
do read this. Read it, read it.
But
Get
we're
real
not going to
mad.
answer your emails.
Get no. If you get offended easily, I want you to read it and then give an honest review. And I don't care if you dog the shit out of it.
Mhm.
I don't care. Because the thing is, that's the thing about reviews. A lot of authors I see making the mistake of reposting like they're like these bad reviews and like
Yeah.
throwing a fit about it and blah blah blah. It's like, why do that? You knew that not everybody was gonna like your shit.
Right, you're not for everybody.
Like,
You
yeah,
know this coming into it. You're
yeah,
not going to mysteriously be that unicorn that everybody falls in love with and thinks is the greatest thing. Stephen King's already here, and there's
right.
not even I don't like Stephen King. I think
Oh,
Dean Koontz is way better.
oh, okay. Maybe his older stuff, but in all
Yeah,
honesty,
newer stuff. I haven't read any of his newer stuff.
I just he's one that I definitely need to go back and give more of a chance. I used to live with a dude that was kind of obsessed with him, and that his books were the only thing that were laying around half the time. And at the
Mhm.
time, I didn't have too many for a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
It wasn't a good time in my life.
yeah. Hey, it happens
I
to
got
all
kind
of
of
us.
burnt out, you know. But
But yeah, I'm just you're not for everybody, and I don't look at my reviews. I haven't looked at my ratings and where I'm at on Facebook or on
Amazon,
Amazon. I have
yeah,
no idea where my books are at. I released book 4 at the beginning of the year. Have no idea where it's at, what it's doing. But I really honestly, I've said this many times, I didn't write these for anybody but myself.
right,
So,
yeah,
it was because it was my first series. Now, my next book that is currently being edited right now, that one I wrote specifically for the main character who is a real life friend of mine.
oh, okay,
He's a detective out here in Arizona, or was a detective out here in Arizona. He ended up with a traumatic brain injury
mm,
and couldn't work for the longest time. And it just seeing him, um, talking to him about it, talking to him about the story, it gave me an idea, talking to him about his past,
mm,
stuff that he had investigated because he was a homicide detective. It gave me ideas, and I'm gonna have a whole series
yeah,
based on him. So, but I'm just here seeing how he lit up every time, I would send his wife a chapter because I had him read it, and he doesn't know things have moved around and changed since then, but just hearing how much he appreciated it and liked it, and it was helping him in his recovery from his TBI and stuff like that. It was nice to do that. And so
mm,
that it was kind of, I wrote for a specific audience, but it is a paranormal
yeah.
thriller. So we'll see. I don't know. That's my first paranormal thriller, just like my first zombie books. They're not going to be the greatest, and I already know this. Maybe in about 5 years, I'll check reviews, but I don't
Well, see,
right
that's the
now because I suck. I'm new. You know?
well. The thing is like I when it comes down to that though, like I look, we need the good reviews as well as the bad reviews. And
Mhm.
a lot of authors fail to realize that. It's like there's some assholes out there that are just shitty. They don't
Yeah,
like
the
you or whatever.
trolls.
Yeah,
I that's what I'm worried about is seeing a troll on there
you can,
like,
but
"Ew, she's gross."
you can pick them out. You know the ones that are full of shit, right?
Mhm.
Most of the bad reviews I've had have had some like criticisms very constructive. You
Yeah.
know, take the bad reviews just like you would the good ones. All right, good. I got a good review. Cool, cool, cool. Well, this review is not too good, but there's one review that I had. I don't remember who it was, but it was House of Flesh, a book that is going to have a re-release at some point.
Hmm.
Um, said that they liked the story, that they got into the characters and all this stuff. Gave me a lot of praise, and they said, however, um, there's a lot of like grammar issues. There's a lot of this and whatever. And it was it was supposed to be my first book, ended up being my second release,
Hmm.
even though I wrote it 8 years beforehand.
Yeah.
um, and
That
my
sounds like an honest review.
exactly, and I knew that.
Hmm.
Like I was like, well, fuck, okay, and then it had been. I'm pretty sure that review was like a good almost year after it came out,
Hmm.
and I just it came down to the fact that I was new and I didn't take the time to read over
Yeah.
shit, whatever. I was
Yeah.
excited, and the
Yes.
person editing, they made a promise before they realized it was a full on novel and not just a novella, and
Yeah.
so they kind of
Yeah.
didn't do what they were supposed to do. So
Yeah.
it was
I
a it
get
was a
it.
whole bunch of shit. But like yeah, like you take that fucking shit that you get, from people, and you
Hmm.
go, all right, well, this is what I need to do. And House of Flesh is one that I'm pretty proud of. I mean, it was the
Yeah.
first thing like that I finished.
Right.
So that's why it's not out to be bought right now, because I'm like, I'm pretty proud of it. I'd like to actually be more proud of it.
Yeah.
So
I
hopefully
didn't give
this
it
year or something.
due
Yeah,
justice.
yeah.
That's kind of I'm definitely because I'm narrating. I started narrating now too.
Okay.
So I have two that I excuse me, two that I just finished. Two books that I just finished for a couple of independent authors, and I am trying to do my own. And let me tell you, I don't know how Eric Shulman does it. I am um I'm looking at it and I'm reading it and I'm doing the voices and stuff and I'm like, I wrote that?
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Well,
I'm looking at it going, yeah, this needs a re-release. I'm probably gonna end up doing a rewrite at some point.
I get it. I totally
I'm
get it.
yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm cringing. I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? What was going through my head at this moment
Yep.
that I was just like, oh my God.
Well,
So
I can't read. I tried. People tell me all the time that I should like
you
read my
have
own
a
books.
great voice.
I appreciate that, and I know that I have a good voice. I'm not cocky about much, but I know that I've got a good voice. And the bad thing is, I have tried to read just a short story of mine, and I can't
Yeah.
get past certain words without cracking up laughing. Uh, I tried to record a story that I did in the first Sludge book called
Yeah.
Dickworm, and I got
That
about
alone.
right. Well, I got about 4 pages, and then I got to the word puckered. Was it pink puckered butthole? And I cracked up laughing every time, and I was like, I give up. So it's like, yeah, it'd be
I,
really cool to do that, but I can't get past my own shit.
I did have one of the books that I narrated. It has a spicy part in it, right? And it's just
Uh,
mild spicy. It's not even like smut. Because I'm thinking, I got a smoky voice. I can do some spicy reading, right?
right. Then
I'm
you hear
sitting
yourself.
there. What's that?
So then you hear yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, I was sitting there reading this, and the words that were put in there. I'm mentally 12, and of course I have to stop the recording every time and bust out laughing and then get back into character.
Yeah.
Just
See, I just
I'm
I
just
fuck
like,
up.
I
I fuck
can't
up too
say
much.
I can't say supple cock without laughing my ass.
How do you not? I don't know how all these motherfuckers do
Exactly.
this shit. I don't get it. It's
I'm
like
like,
it doesn't matter
oh
how
my God.
professional like that I try to be with do that kind of shit. I get to a certain part and I'm just like, God,
You're done. Yeah.
it's like, and that's fun. Like, cause like it's good to have humor with like, okay, well, that's kind of funny, whatever. But man, yeah, it's just it's also kind of like reading your own shit out loud,
Yeah. Yeah.
even if it isn't bad.
Yeah. You're still cringing on the inside.
It's like ooh,
Mhm.
like because
Yeah.
I read and I'm always on the edge, but I'm reading my own stuff out loud because I'm waiting for, oh, well, that sentence should have been longer, or there should have been a period there should have been a comma there, like, and just fuck me up completely. So
Yeah.
far, I've not had too many of those issues. Older stuff I have, but since I've been on what used to be Unveiling Nightmares, now it's CA Bainham Press or Books or whatever they call it now. Now it's fine. I don't have the issues, but some of the older releases, man, like
Oh man.
yeah,
It's amazing what you do learn. And I know if I were to read my first four books, I know I would see where I grew as an author, which
yeah,
is wonderful. I'm glad. I'm glad that everybody gets to experience that with me, because then they'll see, oh, she's not an uneducated piece of crap who thinks she can write a book.
right,
No, I do have a story to tell, and I do get better as it goes. But like I sit there and I'm just like, oh my God, why? I feel like when I'm writing it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a literary genius. And then I get done and I reread it and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? And
yeah.
then there's I've only read one other book that the two authors considered was an anthology. It was trash. You could tell that nobody had edited it. And I'm sorry, any author who thinks that they'll never know, people know,
Oh, dude,
because
yeah,
I may suck at grammar when I'm doing it, but when I'm reading it myself, I can look at it and be like, ay, 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 especially when there's repeated paragraphs
yeah,
and sentences. I'm just like, name changes in the middle, not good.
yeah,
It's like 1 minute he's Robert, the next minute he's Jeff.
yeah. No, it's true. Like, well, I was a cocky little asshole about it. I won't lie, because like I said, House of Flesh was supposed to be my first book, but my first book was Thirsty, and I wrote Thirsty pretty quick.
Mhm.
I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, I was almost done with it, whatever. And I
This
looked
is
over, I
easy.
looked over a little bit. Well, yeah, I was like, well, I don't think I made any fucking mistakes, like
Yeah.
and I look back at it, and at some point, I'm going to be doing a whole revamp of that one too, for a lot of reasons. But same thing. But after the House of Flesh debacle,
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I should start paying more attention. And the thing is,
Grammar's
my
a thing.
well, yeah, like, well, and not being so cocky about it. Like, it's like,
Right.
yeah, okay, because you can definitely talk about that journey. You can definitely see, because I've had a lot of friends and like other people being like, oh, this is some of his best work, whatever, talking about like Law Lizards 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But after I started paying attention, my next release, Going to Hell, Fresh Kills One, uh, like every story in that, everything, like I went over everything
Mhm.
really well, and then sent it off for it to be looked over again. And I
Yeah.
was told there wasn't that many issues, and it looked pretty good, whatever. And that is a lot of people's favorites
That's amazing.
for mine, So it
Do you
it
have
pays.
people that look over your stuff before you send it off?
No, no, not really. Uh, a buddy of mine, he's a writer, a damn good writer, never been
Mhm.
published. Me and him actually are doing a writing retreat in June.
That
Uh,
sounds fun.
so we're actually going to work on a project together that we've been thinking of, so I can get his name out there a little bit. Um,
Nice.
but and plus we co-wrote a book together before I wrote House of Flesh, and it was
Yeah.
like a 500 pager or some shit, and it'll probably never see the light of day because both of us were really like great storytellers. Just the execution was not that great sometimes.
Mhm.
An interesting story that goes 50,000 different places. But anyway, but like he's somebody that sees a lot of my work before I put
Mhm.
it out or whatever. Like even early on,
Yeah.
because like we'll send stories back and forth like and stuff and that kind of shit. And but
Mhm.
besides that, no one sees it until it's sent off. You know, But
Yeah,
yeah,
I have one friend, Dungeon Dan. That's my go-to. He's definitely I love him because while him and I are, he's like my brother from another mother, he's still very honest.
right.
And he is like, like with this book that's out at the editor right now, he's like, in certain spots, he's like, "Hey, this doesn't even make any sense. I don't understand what's happening here." And I'm like, well, to me it makes sense, but obviously I need to put more in it. So he helped develop a lot of this story, and telling me where I need to add. And he's like, this would be a good place for you to add about, blah, 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 or tell more about what's happening, the room, the feel, this, that, everything that I forget. And I'm like, okay, okay, yeah, yeah, and I added quite a bit because of him. So I do have someone who I will send my stuff to just because I know he's going to be honest.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I want people that are going to be honest. Don't be afraid of me. I know I'm supposedly scary and all this other shit, but I'm really not. Yeah, yeah, I get told
People are
that
scared.
often.
People are scared of you.
Yeah.
They're scared. They're scared of me too, so it's okay.
Well, you do look scary.
Well, I mean, I kind of took on the Nosferatu mustache, and
Yeah.
it's doing wonders for me.
Oh, what did you think about that movie?
I liked it.
You
I
liked
liked it.
it?
Yeah,
I
actually, I
fucking
loved it.
hated it.
You hated it?
I did.
Why?
I don't know.
No, that's not a good reason.
It's I didn't like
I
the
feel like this is a
cinematography.
segue.
You right? Like the cinematography was okay, they had really cool
It was
pictures.
beautiful.
They had really good pictures of, the background and all that. And I don't know, maybe it's because I was very much expecting kind of Dracula,
Well,
like
that was your first
Gary
mistake.
Gary Oldman Dracula, I think is why I was.
But
I
why?
know.
Why did
I
you think
know.
that?
And,
Why?
and you know what? I like that one.
Yeah, so do I. But the thing
It
is,
was
Nosferatu's not Dracula.
exactly. And I don't know what the hell I came in thinking.
You weren't the
It my hus-
only person to do that. A lot of people did that.
my husband was like, "Yeah, it was all right." And I'm just like, I didn't like it. I don't know. I know that I guess it's like she was like, and maybe this is why I thought it was more Dracula-ish, because he was like he had this mind control thing with this chick, and like he didn't have to be there to be there. And like, how he would always he had, in Dracula, he had that same, oh, sorry. He had that same like, I don't, maybe that's just a vampire thing, though. They have that
Yeah.
ability to allure, from afar.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was, see, I never,
He
Twilight
did the
didn't do
same.
that.
Dracula did that.
I said Twilight didn't do that.
Oh, well, we don't talk about Twilight. Don't you start that shit. Don't bring up Twilight
I
after saying
love
you don't
Twilight.
like.
I
All
love
right. So first off,
Twilight.
oh my goodness, this explains everything. So let me ask you a question. All right. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Um, with Nosferatu, were you aware that there was an original Nosferatu?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I never saw it though. That was, I think, my
Boom.
first
Right
mistake.
there. That was the answer I was looking
I
for.
think, yeah,
What
I
you
think that was my first mistake, and I wanted to see the original, and I did not before I saw this one.
see? Here's
So
the thing.
I really think that that's my problem.
You only watched it once, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is a rule that I have with movies. I always give them two watches.
Okay.
Okay. Most of the time, if I hated a movie when I first saw it, but I hate it even more when I watch it the second time.
Hmm.
But if I watch something for the first time and like it, I definitely want to give it a second watch. I've watched it 3 times now.
Okay.
Um, I I think that a lot of people actually I heard that a lot of people were thinking it was like Dracula and whatever. A lot of people didn't even know about Nosferatu being a thing.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I knew it was an older movie, black and white. It wasn't even a talkie, was it?
a what?
It
Oh
wasn't
no, it's a
a
silent film.
movie. It was silent.
Yeah, it's a silent film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because
The
that's how old it was. They did not have sound back then, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh yeah, no. You can't. The original score for that movie doesn't exist. So
Mm.
there's different scores to it, and I've
Mhm.
got two DVDs with two different versions. Actually, one DVD is it's the band Typo Negative. It's their music over the movie, and
Mhm.
it's pretty cool. For the most part, it fits. Um, and then the other disc I have has two scores for the movie on it, and one of them's like some symphonic stuff, and the other one's kind of more classical.
Mhm.
So it's pretty cool. I highly recommend that you watch Nosferatu. Now, Nosferatu, granted, it was ripped off of Bram Stoker, um, and they because the original the director of it, F.W. Murnau, he he pretty much wanted to make Dracula. Stoker
Mhm.
said no, so they had to change everything pretty much. So that's why he became
Got it.
Count Orlok and all that. And he's and the original vampire Orlok just looks so fucking just like he's got bald head and he doesn't have a
Yeah.
mustache and he's got the big
Yeah.
you know
The teeth were weird, his hands were weird, he was
yeah
weird.
old Max
But
Shrek.
yeah.
But in this new one, a lot of people bitch the fact that like he had a little bit of hair, that he had a mustache and all that shit. And the thing is like I loved it. I thought he looked very authentic. I thought it made sense that he was from where he was from and all that shit.
Yes. If
You know?
that was the biggest criticism that they had, I think they've missed the point. It's not remaking, when you do a remake, it's you're adding in some creative rights as well. I didn't yeah, the older one was weird looking, but I think this one was more scary because when you do pass away, and your body starts to decompose, your hair does remain. And
Yeah,
and I think he looked like what originally was supposed to be. He's the Walking Dead pretty much. He's the
yeah,
original zombie, you know.
yeah. Well,
But that's what he looked like. He was, looked very until he I don't, did he even drink blood?
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm trying to remember. See, and this is why I need to
He
watch
he
the movie a
he
second
didn't he
time.
didn't say exactly because like he would actually he didn't bite the neck
Yeah.
usually. He would bite onto their chest,
Yeah, right over
or
their
he
heart.
unless it was the little girls and he like got them and like even
Yeah,
threw them
yeah.
down. You know, just forewarning. It's a real quick scene
Hey,
though. It's a real quick
that
scene.
it's okay. It doesn't bother me. I
That
can
one
I
doesn't
can
bother me
handle
like
it.
other ones. Yeah, that one didn't bother me like other ones. But no, and also, are you a fan of any of the other movies that Eggers has done?
I wouldn't even know what other movies
Uh,
he's done.
The Witch.
The with that goat?
Yeah, with Black Phillip.
Yeah. I love that movie.
Okay, okay, it's one of my favorites too. Now it's a movie that gets a lot of shit because it speaks an old language and it
Yes.
does have a kind of a slow. It's a slow
It is
burn,
slow.
but when you make it to the end of that movie, it's all worth it. I mean, and
Oh yeah.
it's beautifully shot. I think
Yes.
he's got some of the best camera work in his movies.
Yeah.
And have you seen The Lighthouse?
No, I haven't seen I've never even heard of The Lighthouse. Oh wait,
Oh,
that's the Robert Pattinson movie, right?
I was gonna say you should know.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I do. I first of all, my love for Robert started in Twilight and Harry Potter because he was. I
Oh
mean, he
yeah.
was okay. I mean, how hard is it to play a dead guy in Harry Potter? I have no idea, but in Twilight, I was a twihard, and I absolutely loved Twilight. But as time went on, I've
Is that
seen
why you
him.
don't like Stephen King? Sorry, is that why you don't like Stephen
No,
King? You
no,
sure?
I'm positive I didn't like Stephen King when I was a teenager because I started reading Dean Koontz books first.
Ah, see, that has something to do with it too. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. But no, that's okay. But the more I saw Robert Pattinson and saw his acting range, the
Mhm.
more I was like, dude, he's good. Cause like I've seen him in there was a movie out recently. I can't remember what it's called, but he was in where his brother was kind of had issues. He had developmental issues,
Mhm.
autistic maybe, and they robbed a bank.
It
and
sounds familiar, actually. I don't think I
i-
saw it, but I think I know what you're
it's
talking about.
it's I can't remember the name of it, but the cinematography was good. The pictures were good.
Yeah.
How they did everything. It's about him being the older brother of, or maybe just the brother. I don't remember if he's older or not. The brother of this guy who cannot function on his own,
Mm,
and he's doing the best that he can. Their parents were crap. They were raised in crap. And, he's really trying to keep his brother from, but he needs money and, but it was a good movie. And I really liked he did an American accent very, very well without sounding like Batman.
no. Oh, right.
And
Well,
I did think that he was good in Batman too.
see, I still have not watched it. What I've seen of it, the clips I've seen and stuff, like I want to watch it. It looks good. I've heard it was
Yeah,
good.
it was
I heard
good.
he seems to do a good job in it.
It was
You know,
good, but yeah, The Lighthouse, I wanted to see it, but I never got to it because it wasn't high on the list.
let me tell you that movie took me a minute to see because I wasn't sure about it.
Yeah,
And my buddy Chris I was telling you about, he lives like states away from me. So a lot of times we'll video like this and like
yeah,
we'll watch movies and shit, we'll drink or whatever. And he
yeah.
goes, dude, you have to see the Lighthouse. He's like, but it has to be in a night where you have lots of whiskey. And I was like, okay. He goes, you'll understand when you're watching the movie. I'm like,
Hmm.
all right. So I got some whiskey. He had some whiskey, and we were watching this movie. And the thing is because Willem Dafoe and Pattinson, they're lighthouse guys, right? Obviously,
Mhm.
duh. They're on this lighthouse for I don't remember how long, and they get to a point where it's like all they had to eat really is beans, and then there's booze, and so like there's lots of farting in it.
Nice.
There's a lot of farts in it.
Who doesn't love a good fart?
But the thing is, the movie deals with a couple of different interesting issues, and like one of them is like, well, I mean, like mental stability. Like,
Mhm.
only certain types of people can do jobs like that.
Where
I
yeah,
couldn't.
where they're isolated.
Yeah, and if you're isolated for a long period of time, I can't remember what all. I need to go back and give that another watch too. But there's something that happens that kind of screws them over, or whatever. And
Mhm.
then the movie, I'm not going to give it away or nothing. But then the movie goes, "Hey, you think it's weird right now? Wait for it." And I have never seen what is in the end of that movie ever in another movie.
Really?
Okay.
Now I'm
What
gonna have to
happens to
watch.
that movie? You have to watch that movie soon, or I'll
Okay.
forget to bug you about it. Because because it's a weird one. But okay, so for the most part, you like I've never seen The Northman. That's another movie he did. So for the most part, you like what you've seen of him. But
Yeah.
Nosferatu, see that's weird because Nosferatu is one that like I've noticed a lot of people who don't like The Witch don't like
Mhm.
it.
I
So that's
like The
kind of
Witch.
interesting. That's cool,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
I
So
really
maybe
like The
give it another
Witch.
watch.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. And maybe now go into it without the thought that this might be Dracula,
Yeah,
without expecting it to be like Dracula. So
yeah.
it just the storyline was very close, very similar
Oh
to
yeah,
Dracula.
yeah.
So I don't know.
I told you
I
the idea was stolen. So
yeah, after hearing, he wanted to do Dracula and wasn't allowed to, and I get that now. So maybe going in with fresh set of eyes might be different now, but
I will tell you another fun one.
mhm.
Actually, it's a really fun one. Shadow of the Vampire. It actually has Willem Dafoe in it too, but he plays the vampire, and he's more of the classic. It's a made up movie about what happened when they made Nosferatu, the original.
Ah,
Uh, Willem Dafoe's the vampire. Who's that motherfucker? John Malkovich is in it. He plays Murnau. Um, Eddie Izzard's in it. There's a really good cast in it, and it's funny. Like,
hmm.
but when that movie came out, there was a lot of questions about like, was the guy that played Orlok Max Schreck, was he really a killer in real life? Like, was he really a vampire? Like, it's of course we all know now that's not the case, but there was all these rumors that went around the movie came out. But
Right.
it's a fun one. I highly recommend that one as well. So
Okay.
I'll have to throw it
Okay.
out. Yeah,
Huh. All right. I'll have to look into that one too. Shadow of the Vampire.
yeah. You just need
Okay.
to have like a marathon Watch the original. Actually, there's also one that came out in the 80s. There was one or two that came out in the 80s. There was one that came out in the 80s in Germany. It was either 80s or 90s, but from Germany.
Hmm.
I've actually, I can't remember if I've ever seen that one or not. I can find it a lot of different places. I just never do it. But
So
you should,
you expect me to sit down for longer than 5 minutes
no,
and watch
no, because
movies?
no, see, I'm the same way. The only reason I watch movies anymore is because of Video Store Clerks podcast. A lot of times that's the only time that I watch movies, and then because whatever movie we're talking about on Tuesdays, but then like I have Friday night movie nights with a few friends of mine every week. That's the only time that I give myself the freedom of
Yeah,
like not worrying about writing at that moment,
yeah.
just chilling out, watching movies. But a lot of times, depending on if I'm just like, it's just like Friday the 13th, right?
Hmm.
Every Friday the 13th, I have a marathon of some sort.
Every
Doesn't
every time,
doesn't mean I'm sitting there paying attention to them.
but
Like,
it's on.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my kids used to go to school with Friday the 13th one on. Like, it's like we have to watch this. It's Friday the 13th, kids.
Yes, we have to.
You know, I'm
You
a
know
Friday the
how many
13th baby.
times I have seen Supernatural, the TV show? I have seen Supernatural, the TV show. I've rewatched the whole thing probably 15 times. It's 15 seasons, 20 to 22 episodes each season. It's on in the background when I'm writing. It's my comfort.
See, that's actually kind of funny you said it because, like, for the longest time, I couldn't listen to any music that had words to it.
Mhm.
I couldn't have any background like TVs on, TV, anything like that on. For like the longest time, it just bugged me. Um, and here lately, because I don't watch TV shows much at all either.
Yeah.
You probably already guessed that. I decided to go back and rewatch House,
Oh my
and
god.
and
Classic.
I found myself not being able to turn it off to write. So I'm like, well, fuck it, man.
Yeah.
Because it's on Peacock, so like there's like ad breaks and all that shit. So I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
cool. I got about a minute and a half, and even while it's on, I'll have the laptop open so I can look down on it. So
Yeah.
like I'll be watching or whatever, and I'll look down, I'll go, okay. And then a lot of times, if I'm on a roll,
Yeah.
everything just goes away.
Yes.
And it's also weird because I used to not be able to listen to heavy music
Mhm.
while I was writing. Now, all I listen to is brutal death metal and slam. Like, and that's the kind of shit where it's like the vocals are so like it doesn't matter because the vocals you can't understand them.
Right.
It sounds like dead people doing vocals for bands, and I love it. It's just like it's just like
Yeah.
all that shit, over like drums and like
Right,
just
right.
chaos. And I can totally, it doesn't bother me. I get
That's
into
cool.
it.
See, and I was that way too. I couldn't at first. I couldn't really. I it's not that I don't know. Maybe it is. I mean, I can work either way. I guess
You
I
can,
do find that if I'm studying, like if I'm doing my medical billing and coding classes, and listen to classical music, I do better. But if I have something else on, I don't do as well on my tests.
yeah.
So something to be said for that. But I
See,
can't listen to classical music when I'm writing my scary books. It doesn't
see
work.
that's another thing. I have to fit what's going on.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep, gotta fit the genre.
yeah. Like
I guess
a
that's
lot of
why
scenes
yeah. I guess that's why Supernatural works out because I was writing the paranormal book.
make sense. A lot of
Yeah.
shit does that too. Like when you start writing something, especially if it's like a new thing or whatever,
Yeah.
and you have something on in the background, something from that will inspire for
Mhm.
other things. And
Yep.
it's kind of funny how that works out sometimes.
It
But
is.
But like, so let me ask you, like, so do you whatever you listen to, is it based on just what you're writing as a whole, or like the scene you're writing?
Um, yes. I
Good
guess
answer. Good answer.
it is it is it's a little bit of both because if I'm writing a fight scene, I can't listen to classical music or something sad and sappy. That's not going to help me. If I'm um writing like I'm in the middle of writing a 1920s mobster shoot 'em up, bang bang, it's ridiculous, everybody's dying for no reason book.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't watching Supernatural doesn't help me with that. I can't that's when I kinda turn off everything, or I'll play back, like, my buddy Jeff Thompson, he wrote 3 books called Epic Mayhem. I'm writing a prequel to that, which is based in that world. So
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
like yeah, it is it's like early 1900s, um, early 1900s, old time. It's not Chicago, they just call it we just call it the city, and, it's just there's a lot of crime's taken over, it's just and police work is just it's obsolete, but you're there just for looks, and, so, like, I have been listening to his books,
Hmm.
trying to get in the groove to
Okay.
get on that one because I got, like, 10,000 words in, but I if since it's a prequel, I also wanna make sure that I'm in line with
Yeah.
everything, so that it's kinda research,
Yeah. I'd
but
say the detective stuff because I've written a
mhm.
couple of like noir extreme stuff before. The story I did in Shocking Sojourns that Sydney Schiff put out, that was a noir story. A lot of times I'll put on I'll get on YouTube and I will put on like this noir jazz
Yeah,
things, and a
yeah,
lot of them are really cool because some of them
yeah.
have like typewriters going and like you hear like the ding ding
Ding.
ding ding, you know. There's one of my favorite ones. There's two of them. One of them is just it's a scene. It's kind of dark in like a red kind of lit up room. There's a guy sitting there and like kind of in the shadows. He's got a cigarette burning and like you see like the smoke, and he's got a glass in his hand. He's just sitting there. You can see the rain falling, and it's just
Yeah,
this really chill kind of detective shit.
yes.
Um, and that's one of my favorites. And then there's another one that has like an ashtray and a typewriter, and then there's like a um, an old timey like I don't know strip club sign blinking on the outside and shit. And like you kind of get it's really good. Like so like I get in the mind of that shit, the detective stuff. So like
Yeah.
if you ever and also a band that also works is the band Morphine, old
Hmm.
'90s band. They're perfect for that kind of shit too because they are the exact kind of shit I think of. Like it's like, oh, they'd probably be playing in a bar where detectives having to deal with this, blah blah blah, kind of shit. So just
Yeah.
you mentioned that, and I was like, oh yeah, well check that out
Well,
and see if that's your
YouTube has a bunch of cool little, cafe scenes where they're playing, like jazz music or they're playing some
yeah
kinda easy listening, and the just their landscape or their viewscape is, like, amazing.
yeah
A lot of times, me and my husband, we used to sit there, we'd read, and
hmm
and I don't remember what he'd be reading or doing, but we'd sit down, we'd have that on, and we'd point out all we'd find the problems, the glitches, and
yeah
we point them out, and then if they were subtle enough, we could handle it and just sit there and do our thing. If they were noticeable, we had to change it and find a different one because it was just so bad, like, the
yeah.
cat's levitating over the furniture or over a candle or something, and you're like, "That's just bothering me. Why
I
isn't the cat on fire?"
I know exactly what you're talking about because
Yes.
there was one that I watched where it's like you're like in this big fancy living room and there's a
Mhm.
fireplace burning. And I remember like I was like really blazed and I was writing and I kept getting stuck on watching it because it just looked so good and
Yeah.
it just lit up the whole room. And I kept looking at the cat and I'm like,
What's wrong with that cat?
I was like, why does it look like it's floating right now?
Yeah.
Like it threw me
There's like
off.
a
So
glitch in the coding or something that they
hmm
need to fix, and it's like, sometimes it's just like the walls, if they're not it doesn't make sense, I
yeah,
can't watch it. The rain not falling right, I can't watch it.
yeah,
It's stupid shit, and I'm just like, who am I? I'm not even not a computer coder. How the hell do I know any of this stuff?" But
yeah.
yeah, that's stuff that we used to do, and I haven't done that in a while. I really need to do that. Maybe this weekend. But
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I like when you're writing, you're talking about stuff that's a little more action packed going on or whatever.
Mhm.
Like I'm one of these that, like, I'll just put on an album. Like, I've been like the novella I've been working on is called Fly Buffet, and it's a pretty fucked up just little thing,
Sounds
and
terrible.
it is, it really is. It shouldn't be taking me as long to like as it is to write it, but it's going good. Whatever, it's pretty fucked up. But the whole time I've been listening to a lot of just disgusting brutal death metal, like I was talking about,
Yeah.
and it really puts me in that fucking manner. But I was writing something a while back that I thought about. And I was like, there's moments like if I can write in the mornings, if I'm not here, kids aren't here or whatever, and like I wake up, I got my energy drink or whatever to give me major caffeine, and I'll be getting in the mood. And if it's like rednecks chasing some teenagers through, then I'll put on some old school country, like that
Yeah.
that
Some
fast, like
banjo.
yeah, some Hank, some Co, or whatever, blast that shit up, and I'm just over here like woohoo, and I get into it that way because I must sound like a madman because like I may look like one too, but like I walk around and when I'm really into a scene or whatever, and I'm like, all right, how does this work, and a lot
Right.
of times I have my window open, so I just walk back and forth like acting out things or like if I'm really getting into a scene, like or if I make it through a scene, I'm like. I shout it out like I do something
Yes.
stupid. We all have our
Yeah.
rituals.
Well, no, oh my God, what did I do? I created a scene that I was really proud of. And I'm at work and I'm typing away, clickety clacking away, and I didn't have a run. So when I'm at work and I don't have a run, or I'm not taking people either down to the port of entry and kicking them to Mexico or taking them up to somewhere where they're getting prosecuted or whatever for being here
Yeah,
wrongly,
yeah,
I have my laptop and I write my stories. Well, I'm sitting there and I'm like in the zone. Nobody can tell me nothing. I get done. I stand up and I'm like, fuck yeah, really loud
yeah.
in the quiet office. And I looked around. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Mm,
All these deportation officers are looking at me like, you okay?
I get it. I get it. You have to like when you're really into it to a scene or something,
Yeah.
and it really just blanks everything around you. Like you like can
Hmm.
almost if you like you envision it, like you can actually see it in front of you.
Yes.
And then when you're done with it, and like all the lights come up, and and you're expecting everyone to
And
clap.
scene.
Yeah, and you're the only one going, "Fuck yeah!" And then everybody's just looking at you like, "You okay? Do
Yeah.
we need to call
Yeah.
somebody?"
I'm the shit. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I grumble a lot of times when I'm like,
Mhm.
I didn't realize I did this, and I do some writing nights with my friends and stuff, and they told me like I said that like you just seemed angry the whole time because I'll sit there and be like, "Look at shit." And like I don't do it all the time. I do it sometimes, and it's usually when I'm just like writing something for like the fourth time. It's like that.
Yeah.
It's like I write that paragraph that's just
Yeah.
stopping me, and I'm like, oh god,
It
and I have
didn't
to change
sound
it,
right
change
the
it.
first 6 times, and now I'm getting fucking pissed off at the words.
Yeah, that's usually around the time when I go, okay, it's time for a shot, a beer, and a blunt, and
Yeah.
I'll get back to it here in just a
Yep.
minute. But
Walk away.
yeah, yeah, because it's like, god
Walk
damn it,
away.
because it seriously will bug me all day long. If I
Yeah.
wake up and start writing, I'm doing great, whatever, then I'm paused because of something that's not looking right or whatever.
Yeah, it
I
screws
can,
up your whole day.
yeah, until I figure it out, and then when I
Yeah.
figure it out, I'm great. But
Mhm.
it's like, god damn, that took me 24 hours to figure out this fucking paragraph.
And you can't sleep.
No,
I've been woken up where I'm like, I'm awake at 2 in the morning. I'm just like, what is it about that scene that I can't move forward from? What
mhm.
is it? So, yeah, I get it entirely,
It's it's
entirely.
it's kind of annoying, but at the same point, like it's a good kind of thing because it's like I'm constantly always thinking of shit. So like when those
Mhm,
moments happen, if I'm going to, I'm just like, okay, I'll make an excuse to leave the house. I'm
mhm.
like, okay, I need cigarettes.
Yeah.
I need something. I'm gonna go in there, and like usually if I go there for something, I'll see something, or something will remind me of what I'm writing, and it
Mhm.
will if it's dialogue, I'll hear somebody talking about something like there it is. There's the opening to what's getting ready to be said and whatever. And sometimes a lot of times it's funny as fuck. So I'm like, oh, that's perfect, or I'll see something like, oh, that's how I need to fucking do that.
Mhm.
you know, and then sometimes you just gotta take a breather. Like I,
Yeah.
I go on these writing things where like if I'm kid free and I ain't doing shit, my plan is to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe a little later, and fucking, you know, get some smoke in me, some drinks in me, whatever, and I just go on and for the whole day, and I
Hmm.
take a little breaks. I write for 4 hours, you know, break,
Yeah.
write for 4 hours, you know, and it's discipline, and I kind of suck at it sometimes, but I'm finally getting back into a comfortable spot, you know,
Hmm. I
because
would like to not have a job so that I can do that.
right,
My job gets in the way every time, but it
well,
is what it is.
you were talking about, you know, about having a lot that you're doing and all that with
Yeah.
podcasts and all that shit. I get it because like if I don't have something like this, you know, I do podcasts, you know, I'm in a band,
Hmm.
you know, I write books, and I'm also pretty much a full time dad.
Yeah,
You know
you're a
what I mean?
parent, and that takes a lot.
Yeah, you know,
I mean, not that I'm not. I've got 3 children, but they're adults. They're grown.
but you make the thing is though, regardless of their age or whatever, you're still making time. You're somehow maneuvering. It's like, okay, this is when I do this. Da, 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 da. You know, it's like this
Yeah,
way life can still go as it needs to be, but I can also take care of what I need to take care of. You know,
I
it's like you
try.
well, it's not always easy. It's not always easy, but
Mm-mm.
it's kind of like the mentality of like you got to bleed for rock and roll sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it's like my son recently just got on homeschool this past year, doing homeschool and stuff, and it kind of screwed me up just a little bit because I was used to him getting on the bus and
Hmm.
me being awake and getting, you know, like my energy drink and whatever, and you know, sitting there writing forever. Well, after a minute, that kind of went away because it was like, all right, well, now
Yeah.
you know, you know, he's here more or whatever the fuck. So nights a lot of times, like, but I've also been able to maneuver, you know, when he's not
Change it
here.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I have to do some writing. Like I don't
Yeah,
see a
you
lot of
do.
people, you
You
know.
have to be. You also have to be. Oh, me and this brand new boom mic for
I was gonna
my.
say, yeah,
It's but it like you have to be flexible um for your life
yeah.
because it doesn't always go. Sometimes I'm not home until late, and I don't know why Arizona traffic is so terrible. Well, I mean, I do know why, partly because the snowbirds are here, but Arizona traffic is so terrible right now. It's not even funny. Like everybody is the 10 has been closed at least once every day the last week because of some major accident on it.
I got
It's insane.
I got a buddy of mine who's actually on his way right now over to towards Arizona. So
Yikes.
he's got a minute because they just left about an hour ago, or an hour or so ago, if the things are going as planned. But yeah,
Yeah, he's got a minute if he's driving. Is he
oh yeah,
driving?
oh yeah,
Oh,
they're
so
driving.
that's a good it's a 1,900-mile trek from where you're at, I believe, and
Oh yeah,
'cause
no,
you're
they're on an adventure. So
yeah,
yeah, so I'm kind of curious to hear how that goes. They're going out.
I usually drive straight through when I go back to Ohio.
Oh really?
30
They
hours.
God, that's a lot of time on the road. Uh, yeah, they're going to this. There's one place where they're visiting is called uh, like the Bitus Bitus. It's like a whole bunch of like crazy like just land that has like a lot of mountains and these crazy rocks and just all this shit. I can't remember what he said it was, but it looked pretty fucking cool. So
The Grand Canyon.
no, it's a totally different right, but it's a totally different place. But it looked pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Either way, it's going to be a weird journey for them. So I'm excited to hear how that goes.
Yeah, it's definitely I will say it is definitely an interesting drive.
Yeah.
It's because I just did that Arizona Ohio drive in March. I think it was the beginning of March or end of February. I can't remember which. Um, let me tell you, when on the way back, it was snowing like crazy. Blizzard. Like
Oh
couldn't
Lord.
see the road.
Yeah.
I made my own lanes. I don't think Minnesota owns plows, and Oklahoma and Kansas, I just ran through there like I was making a beeline for home. I just ran
Yeah.
through there making my own lanes. I may have crashed through a house. I don't know. But it was
Strike it from the record, Your Honor.
it was I plead the fifth. It was definitely scary. And I was traveling most of it at night. So I'm like, I have no idea if I'm on the road or not. So yeah. It
Jesus.
was just yeah, it was just one of those that I was like, "Why did I do this?" But I do stupid shit like that all the time. Let's
I
see if I
have
can do this.
I have some really weird phobias, and one of them is driving. I drive. I do
Mm,
drive, but I I have really bad anxiety with certain
mhm.
stuff, and it's only gotten worse as I've gotten older. Um,
I have a
so
question. Not
yeah,
to derail you. How
yeah.
many TBIs have you had?
Ooh, TBS.
Traumatic brain injuries? How many concussions have you had in your life?
I don't know
That might be why.
what.
Shit,
Where
you're not. There's a correlation between how many traumatic brain injuries or concussions that you've had, how many times you've hit your head with anxiety.
Well, it's kind of funny you say that because like the band I'm in now, I play drums and do vocals. Like I do like main vocals.
Mhm.
Um,
You do man vocals?
main vocals. I'm the
Oh,
we're a two piece. Yeah, I do man vocals.
like versus female vocals.
Right. But I used to just be a vocalist,
Okay.
and I used to savagely beat the living shit out of my head. I got scars and shit where I used to fucking do that shit and bleed
In the front where your frontal lobe is?
everywhere. I mean, I used to come home with like waffle like bruises all over my head and all this shit. I stopped doing that when I realized how stupid that was. I was younger, but yeah, no. Like I'm sure I've wondered actually if that's I wish I
Exhibit
had the
A.
mic. Right. I wish I could show you the microphone because it has bent all to fuck. Like it's got blood and rust all over it, and
Jesus.
yeah, that was pretty
Yeah, that's probably so I didn't mean to derail you, but yeah, that's
yeah.
I've noticed that a lot of, and I believe there's actually some studies out there that show the more traumatic brain injuries you have, the more likely you are to have extremely bad anxiety and for it to get worse.
I mean, I can't argue with that. I've been hit in the head a few times too.
Well, I'm a woman. You can't argue with me anyways. I know everything.
Well, no, I totally agree. I totally agree though. Like, cause like because when you hit your head, no matter whatever, like you're doing some kind of damage to it.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Mhm.
And I was just a dumb asshole, in my 20s, and I wanted to be some extreme rock and roller like Gigi Allen or some shit. Just
Yeah.
but not so much the shit, but the blood aspect of it. I kind of because
Yeah.
I didn't cut myself. I just would get into the music and just
Yeah.
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 Like
So,
I was proud of myself when I had like the first show that the band that I was at the time did where like I busted my head open. By the end of it, I had it pouring down my face, and I was just so happy.
you're like,
I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I was fucking happy." And then I drank a whole lot, and then I got really drunk, and
mhm.
people were worried about me because I was like really like,
A little
"Ugh."
too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're like, should we call somebody, man? That place looks bad. I was like, dude, I do this shit all the time.
I'm a rock star. It's okay.
I was far from a rock star, but you couldn't tell me you couldn't tell that me.
Yeah. Couldn't tell you how to live your life. So,
I'm
anyways, you were saying you have anxiety because you have phobias with driving and your anxiety is really bad. Sorry, I got off on a tangent.
oh no, you're good, you're good. I know how it goes. Yeah, no, like I I like to drive whenever like if it's sunny out and the weather's good and I've got to go, do some shopping or whatever.
Mhm.
Like I'm cool with that, in town, whatever. But like I don't like having like I can drive the next like to my hometown to go to my daughter's appointments and shit. It's like 20 minutes away from here.
Hmm.
But beyond that, I don't like going to Lexington, which that place sucks. I lived there for a few years, hated it. Like all that shit. We do a lot of shows in Louisville, which is about 2 hours from Mount Sterling, and probably shouldn't give away my coordinates, but whatever. But it takes about 2 hours to get there, and we do a lot of shows mainly there when it comes like,
Yeah.
in that area. So my guitar player is the one that usually does the driving. I don't know. When I drove to TBR Con in Knoxville that I went to last year,
Hmm.
3 hour drive, not a big deal, right?
Right.
But man, the nerves that I had, like once I got, it was the first time me taking a long trip going out of state by myself. Usually my girlfriend was with me, my ex was
Hmm.
with me, and so like it was just kind of a thing. And once I got on the road and realized it was a straight shot and whatever the fuck, GPS was on my side. I had some good
Yeah.
tunes,
Yep.
so it ended up being all right. But and I think about like that. I'm like, because I was like, all right, when's my next Mac? But now, like, the longer that I sit, the more I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay in my little dark hole.
I don't mind doing the 30-hour trek
Yeah,
in one shot. It doesn't bother me um until nighttime. And I'm on a road. Now that I've done it a few times, it's not as bad.
yeah,
But before, oh my God, if I'm on a road that I don't know and it's nighttime, I freak out. I'm
I
like,
feel
oh
it.
my God, I can't see the road. And then I'm like, am I an old lady now? Because because I can't I don't remember behaving like this when I was younger.
Yeah,
It
no,
was simple. You follow the lines. Now all of a sudden I'm like, what if something jumps out and I run into it? What if it's a person? What if it's a child? Why would a kid be out at 2 in the morning on the expressway? It's just
well,
ridiculous things running through my head. I'm just like, ugh, settle down, psychopath.
there's no, I get it. I totally get it. I
Mhm.
learned to drive at night on like highways, interstates, and
Yeah.
shit. Like I had a buddy that let me use his car to do things. It was easier to do at night because I didn't have a permit or nothing. You
Yeah.
know, so like when I was younger, I had no, I was better at driving at night than I was anything else. But as I get older, those same worries, I'm like, fuck, I need to, like, if I'm like on a country road or something at night, I
Yeah.
don't go that fast like I did as a kid because
Yes.
now I'm like deers and
Yes.
and just
But
crazy shit,
I mean, it's stuff that we really didn't worry about when we were,
young
18,
and dumb.
16, 17. Yeah. Oh my God. And reckless. But like I live in Arizona. Not that there's not deer. There's javelinas. There's giant pigs in the middle of the road. I've
Yeah,
almost hit one of those a few times. Um, but like
feral pigs.
feral pigs.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, they run rampant out here.
Pop.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they're any good for bacon or not. That's the bad thing. But
Nah.
we also have a lot of coyotes, and
Mm,
I have yet and those things they don't care. Zero fucks given about whether you're trying to cross the street or they are.
yeah,
They will dart out in front of your car. They do not care. It's
yeah,
almost like they're trying to die, but not really. They're just playing chicken.
yeah.
It's just they're nuts. But
They
like
see those
it,
headlights.
yeah, and they look like dogs. I don't want to hit the dog.
Yeah,
I
I
love
get it.
dogs. I see my dogs when I see them running across the street, and I'm like, "Oh, puppy, I want to get out and pet it and give it food." Put it in my back seat.
Shh. Like we have coyotes here too, and you hear them.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
people that lived here before I did, they showed me pictures a while back. There was a coyote that used to sleep under my side porch.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit. Well, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it at all since I've lived here almost 7 years now, and I've never seen it. But you hear them
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah.
and you hear them from afar. And it's kind of one of those things like
Yeah.
you can never tell. Like you can kind of tell how close they are, but sometimes it's kind of iffy.
They
And
were
the
walking behind our wall the other day, and my dog went out, and she's like on the wall, like, she's like barking at them. And I'm like, they're not going to go away. There's more of them than there are you. Get in here.
Yeah. They're
So
gonna
that was
use you as a
scary.
chew toy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Well, see, like, because my folks, they live about 20 minutes away. Last year, I think it was. There's always weird animals that pop up, like
Hmm.
gators used to walk across the bypass.
Well,
Uh,
and you live in the Midwest. There's all sorts of weird cryptid stories, anyways.
oh yeah, we have one here too. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty much the equivalent of man bear pig.
Oh,
His name
Jesus.
his name's it's Bearilla.
Bearilla.
Yeah, because it kind of has a face like a wolf, but like a body almost like a gorilla. And I've got a few people that I know that have there's a documentary that has people that I know on it.
Trail cams. You guys need trail cams.
Oh,
That's what you need.
there's all kinds of shit that's like kind of weird about it. But yeah, cryptids are fucking everywhere, and
Well, yeah, over there especially.
Appalachia, over here in
Yeah.
Appalachia,
Yes.
we love them weird shit.
Yes.
But no, coyotes
Hmm.
were spotted walking down my mom's street, and they live in the suburbs. They live,
Yeah.
and uh, and everybody was like posting like, "Hey, watch out!" This, and the picture
Yeah.
was like right down the street from my mom's house, and it's like they're getting. They didn't used to come out that blatantly, and now
They're
they're
coming
kind of
out more and
like,
more during the day.
I don't know. I think it's just more of a sign of like the animals are about ready to take the ones that aren't
They're getting,
domesticated
yeah, they're
are
getting pissed.
they're going to start reclaiming their place again, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, no,
I'm going to write that one day.
that'll be interesting. We have in our neighborhood, I've seen the javelinas come through, and also I, daylight coyotes running up and down the street. Um, there was a young one. It looked like a juvenile, but there's this couple walking down the street, and it looked like the juvenile coyote. They were going to meet it, and I stopped the couple. I was like, "There's a coyote over there. You guys might want to turn around or something." They kept going. Hey, okay, whatever. There
Yeah,
was only one, so
yeah.
one is not terrible. When there's more than one, I think that's going to be a problem. But
I think one's enough. I don't want to be around them because, like,
right,
Now I have been around. I have been around coyotes where they
hmm,
just leave you the fuck alone.
yeah,
But that was also a rare case because,
yes,
like, if they feel any certain kind of emotion to where they feel like they feel in danger
hmm,
or they're just pissed in a bad mood, then you
hmm,
got some, I wouldn't
you're
recommend
playing
going
with
near
death.
one. Yeah, no. And
You're
if you're
playing
anywhere near
with
your
death.
car, like, it's one of the worst things about getting out and taking a piss in the middle of nowhere or whatever is at night, you don't know what the fuck is in that dark sometimes.
Exactly. And I'm sorry, we got tons of rattlesnakes out here. We're in rattlesnake
Mm,
country.
yeah. I love rattlesnakes. We've
Ugh.
got rattlesnakes too. But like, I also, I respect when it comes down to reptiles and especially snakes.
Mhm.
I respect them enough to where I don't try to fuck with them. If
Yeah,
I'm, it's like, you know what, I'm going to go this way. I don't need to finish that journey. And
yeah.
a lot of people are dumb. A lot of people are stupid with saying, "Oh, it's don't. What are you doing?"
No.
Rattlesnake's
Leave them
probably one of the
alone.
worst bites. Like
Yeah,
you don't
leave them alone.
like. Yeah, it's like these fucking these preacher guys that we have here
Yeah.
that
Yes.
they would rather be bitten and die in bed than go to the hospital. I was like, dude, you're fucking
Yep,
stupid. They also
yep.
drink fucking poison too to prove like it's like, dude,
You ain't proven anything other than your stupidity.
no, it's like there's
You're
no
really not.
respect. There's no respect for the serpent, and that's
No,
that's the problem.
exactly. Well, we're showing we don't have fear of the serpent. There still needs to be at least somewhat of a respect. There still is
Always,
respect, a healthy respect.
just like with a
But
gun, you got to be, just
yes,
like having firearms. Same thing. You got to
yes,
have respect
you
for the
have
tool.
to. You
Yeah.
have to. But yeah, no, we have tarantulas that walk around in our backyard. We have oh, you sissy. You sissy.
Again, I respect them. I think spiders are great for what they do. I I have PTSD over a certain situation.
Tarantulas don't want to eat you.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's a tarantula or whatever the fuck. But we lived in a shitty little duplex back when my son was just born pretty much,
Yeah.
um, where we knew we had a spider problem, but we didn't realize it was that big until we wanted to get internet.
Like
And
arachnophobia?
like, well, what happened was, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, actually, yeah.
In
So
the movie?
yeah, no, when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, probably, because we had the internet guy show up, right? And at the
Yeah.
time, it was going underneath the house and doing all that shit, whatever.
Yes.
And he's like, oh yeah, show me where your the door. And I was like, oh, there it is. He goes under there, and he's not under there long, and he jumps back up, and I'm like, what's wrong? He goes, there's a shovel down there, and I kicked it, and the whole ground moved. I was like, what do you mean the whole ground moved? He goes, dude, spiders fucking everywhere. I was like, are you serious? He goes, come here. And I was like, I don't know if I want to. He's like, come here. And so he gave me his flashlight, and I kind of leaned my head in there. And dude, there was all over the place, and it was different kinds. And I was
Oh
like,
my
man, you don't have
god.
to go in here and do this if you don't want to. He goes, no, I will. I was like, do you have a problem with spiders? Oh yeah, I hate them. He's like, but I will do it if I have to.
Oh my god.
He went under there, man. He told me that we had brown recluses, black widows, everything like down there,
Oh, no. I
and wolf
mean,
spiders and shit. But what we had,
you had
it was,
everything that is not nice underneath your house.
yeah. And he also informed me that most of the my air vents weren't connected to anything. So because it was summertime, or it wasn't summertime yet, but it was like still kind of cool outside when
Mhm.
we moved in, so we didn't really need anything. And we
Right.
found out like that most of our vents went to nothing, so we froze or we burned up. It was a weird situation, but yeah.
That's terrible.
So I got paranoid, and
Yeah,
I taped up every fucking place I could. Our
I believe it.
bedroom, our bedroom was constantly getting brown recluses. So we would take turns sleeping with Dax when he was a baby out in the living room, because for
Wow.
some reason they never really went. I guess there was just so much movement in the living room, so they stayed back there. And my oldest, when she was real little, she had a play, like a play trunk kind of thing, right? With all her
Mhm.
toys and shit. When we were moving out, I was trying to clean up some stuff, whatever. And I heard this noise, and I looked over, and I was hearing this gigantic fucking spider like moving through this toys. And then I heard it hit the bottom of the box, and
Thump.
it went thunk. And I went, that thing's too fucking big to do that.
Oh!
Like all I saw was its fucking legs. And then and it dropped off, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was done. I carried that whole thing outside,
Yeah.
and then my kid's mom, she showed up with the kids, and she was like, "Why? What are you doing?" I was like, "That thing's not coming back inside." Why? I was like, "There's a big fucking spider in there." It's like, come back. And she was fine with it because she hates them worse than I do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, yeah, that house fucked me up. I already had an issue with spiders, but it wasn't that bad. But when
Yeah.
I would wake up every morning thinking that I was being like completely attacked by spiders.
You were wrapped up, mummified.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably, I always forget about that one sometimes when I'm talking about certain things. But earlier, our conversation beforehand,
Oh
spiders, I forgot about that
my
incident.
god.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my god.
yeah. So spiders and me, I've been around, like, scorpions don't really bother me. Like, I plan on getting some like black emperors before, like, at some point. And
We pull out little ones out of pools and stuff like that, yeah, the little ones might have more venom, I don't know, I've never been stung by one. They like to bite and
I had
sting and pinch.
I lived in a place called Berea, Kentucky,
Mhm.
for a little while when I was 19, with seven or eight other people in the fucking house. It was crazy, but I had some friends that I made, and in the basement were all these like baby scorpions. I mean,
Oh my
just
god.
everywhere. And I was like, bring one to me. And he wasn't kidding. He had a little like tape cassette like holder, and he had it in there. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, how many do you have? He's like, dude, I've got like my whole basement's like full of them. It was his grandmother's
Jesus.
basement. And I was like, what the fuck? And if I remember correctly, he ended up he had a neighbor that was like a shitty cop.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, he put about 5 or 6 of those scorpions in that dude's fucking like his off-duty vehicle. Yeah. Yeah. That guy, the reason that guy was so shitty though is like he pretty much almost killed his dog and then got
What a
away with
piece of
it.
crap. What a piece of
Yeah.
crap.
So Duder got lit up though because he was rushed to the hospital a couple days later. of apparently he's allergic to them. So 'cause that's the whole thing. Like that's the whole thing about scorpion stings. If you're allergic to bees or wasps and all that, it's going to suck for you.
Yeah.
Like it's probably going to cause some damage. But if you don't have allergies to that kind of stuff, the venom, the poison, whatever, isn't
It's
gonna
just gonna
like
hurt.
it's gonna hurt and it's gonna like now the bad thing about scorpion stings though is that yeah, their venom and all their juices may not fucking do much to you, but do a little bruise or whatever.
Hmm.
But they can dig that fucking thing in there and it doesn't have to break off. Like, I mean, that stinger, if you look at their stingers, it kind of makes a weird little
Hmm.
and it's so that they have the control and you really don't.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, that's the problem with those motherfuckers. But you
Yeah.
know, I've always been enthralled with them though. They're cool little characters. The Black Emperor scorpions are, you know, they're cool. You get a little black light for them, and if you get a bunch of them that are the same age, they'll all huddle together. And unless you get one that's a little bit younger, then it dies because that's the natural order of things with those things.
That's crazy. Yeah, we have all sorts of like whenever I used to go out and do pools, you lift the pool lid off of the skimmer. You
Mhm.
lift the skimmer lid off. There was
Yeah,
always a black widow in the middle there.
yeah,
I never freaked out. I just put the lid down. I let her go. I cleaned out the skimmer and then I put her back. It was a water source, especially out here. So
yeah,
of
man.
course she was going to be near there. But she never messed with me, and any of the pools that I went to that had, but that's where they always sat was right
Yeah.
in that skimmer lid.
Oh yeah, because they like the darkness and they like the moisture
Hmm.
a lot of
Oh
times.
yeah.
Same house I lived at in Berea, I was talking about, uh, was when I first moved. I never used my closet. It was a really old house. I mean, old house. My closet was this big wooden, like, whatever. I was going to put stuff in there, but when I opened the door, there was a black widow that was living in the corner. And I was like, clearly, I turned the light on in there because it was one of those, like, you walk in and pull the chain.
Yes.
And I pulled the chain and I just looked, and right there in front of me was this big, giant web. And I was like, huh.
This is your room.
I was like, yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't. All I saw was the web. And I looked up to the corner. I was like, oh, you've got a red place underneath you, honey. uh, you can just. And so I closed it off. And
Hmm.
occasionally, whenever we found bugs or anything,
Throw them in
it's
there.
an old house, just throw them in there. And I lived there for 4 months, and all my clothes and stuff were either still in boxes or they were in my drawers. But
Yeah.
I didn't even bother with that. Like people didn't believe me either. And I was like, open it up,
I
take a
don't
look.
blame you for that one. I mean, it doesn't matter. They're rough. Those things are rough.
They're
They
rough,
really are.
but they're also like they're harmless in a way. I mean,
Yeah,
they don't want to fuck with you.
they
Like,
don't. Just leave them alone.
yeah, don't touch. Now, seeing how quick one of those things will run to
Oh,
food
they can move fast.
is like you don't want to have your finger anywhere near that
Nope.
web,
No,
you know.
you don't.
Like, but just toss them in there, like. But
Right.
I always thought it was kind of cool having, it's like I had this, it's like, oh, that's my spider room, So I had, but
Yes.
needless to say, I didn't really get much action when I lived over there because like I would always
You,
fuck up and make the comment like I gotta like I'm
oh,
scared of
Jesus.
spiders. Like I've got a fucking black widow in there because I'm a fucking idiot. That's the guy. I was 19, so I was.
Apparently you didn't want none.
Apparently I was. I was
You're
not
an
who
idiot.
I am now. I was a complete
Yeah.
idiot with a lot of stuff. I was the guy that purposely made himself like pushed out of parties and shit because I would get too stupid.
Oh, Jesus.
Like I used to I was the kind of guy that like I would start out drinking and I'd be like, I'm not getting that drunk tonight, whatever. And then I'd end up getting really wasted. I go up to people and just be like, what your fucking problem is? You know,
But
I,
you're going
I
to tell me.
yeah, I was bad. I had my roommates had to fucking keep me from fucking some heads.
That's
Like,
hilarious.
I
I I tell my husband I read books most of my teenage years. He doesn't believe me. He calls me, he says, "You're full of shit," because I ended up having a child right 2 weeks out of high school. He goes, "You couldn't have always been reading books." I said, "But I was."
yeah, you make time. You make
I
time.
Hey, you find out what's important to you.
I mean, like even when Dax, like when he was just a baby, like I'd usually put on a black and white movie or something because like when it was my shift, you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Uh, like I'd put on like Night of the Living Dead. That was the first movie he ever laid eyes on when he came home from the
Yeah.
hospital. Okay, and he really digged the black and white, and it was really relaxing to him. He'd go to
Oh, yeah.
sleep. He'd go to sleep. I'd go over to the area of the living room that kind of cut off, and it was a little bit lit up. Had a little chair over there, this little very comfortable, very small chair. It was like
Mhm.
a mini uh, a mini recliner kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Old 70s chair. I just sit there and I would read and he'd be asleep. And like he'd wake up 20 minutes, 30 minutes later. Like, all right, cool. So like there's always moments. People are like, oh, well, I wasn't able to do this and blah blah blah. It's like you will find time for certain things.
Exactly, you will.
You
You
know,
will.
it's not the end
And
of the
that's
world.
I think that's kind of what we all forget is that, you find times for the important stuff.
Yeah.
Let's not, like we have all this technology nowadays, and then I think we're doing too much technology and not enough in-person reaction,
Oh, I agree.
interaction. I
Oh, I
think
agree.
that, it's wonderful that we're able to do stuff like this,
Yeah, of
but
course.
you have to have that person to person interaction in order to stay sane, be normal, understand how to treat people. And I really believe that that's why also to catch a fist when you act out of line. And I think that's why a lot of people think that they can be tough on Facebook
Oh
or
yeah.
on, Twitter, whatever the heck it is. I think a lot of people forget what it's like to get smacked in their mouth when
True.
they're talk out of line
Those
because
SJWs, man.
yeah, yeah.
There were, a lot of people gave the last Texas Chainsaw Massacre a lot of shit.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, there's some things in it that are kind of stupid. I enjoyed it, like to the point
Yeah.
me and my buddy were like, my buddy Chris I was talking about earlier, like we were laughing, we were cheering,
Yeah.
because there's a scene where it's a whole busload of these fucking people, and they've all got there's a guy with a chainsaw coming at you, and you all have your phones out.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yes.
I can't wait for this scene to go through. And
I hope
it
you
was
all
glorious.
get mowed down.
And they do. And people bitched about it. I was like, what are you talking about? This is
No,
perfect.
exactly, because that's what happens. Instead of helping people who are in trouble, people pull out their phones and record it, and it's like, what happened to human decency? I don't understand where it went.
Did nobody watch the last episode of Seinfeld and learn anything?
I didn't. I didn't
I
watch the
wouldn't
last
have.
episode, but
I hated that show, but I've seen every episode though.
God, I thought it was horrible. Thought it was horrible. I will say that, the new Bondsman the new show Bondsman
Mhm.
with Kevin Bacon,
Oh yeah, yeah. I've heard it was pretty
r
good.
really good. Oh my god, I love it. We watched all 8 episodes in 2 days.
Oh,
We're
nice.
hoping that there's gonna be a season 2. We haven't
Yeah,
heard yet. Me and this Mike need to get it together.
that's
I've
funny.
hit it more times than I've not.
Kevin Bacon is actually one of those actors that like a lot better in age.
Yes.
With just he's just a really I him and Nicolas Cage used to know the living fuck out of me.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I've been won over like by both of them.
Yeah.
And from roles they choose to their acting jobs they do, you believe them, like they're good
Yeah. They're
actors.
believable.
Yeah,
Nicolas Cage has gotten a little weird, and I haven't seen anything
gotten
recently of his.
gotten a little weird.
I was being diplomatic.
Oh, were you okay?
Kevin Bacon, I think I really enjoyed his role in that one movie with Julia Roberts and uh, it where it was like
Flatliners?
no, The End
No,
of the
he wasn't
World.
close.
No, that was I think he was in Flatliners, but I
Okay,
think
yeah.
I'm talking more recent.
Um,
This had to do with the end of the world where the Teslas all drove themselves. Kevin Bacon in that movie
hmm,
played a prepper, and I don't know if he is that type of person, but
mhm.
if he's not, he played that really well.
Oh yeah, he does good at playing bad guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
I'm
he,
trying to remember the name of that damn movie. I'm sorry.
I can see it in my head, but I can't think of the title for it. I don't know if
Yeah.
I've ever seen it or not, but like it sounds really familiar. I see a lot of trailers, and like by like passing, and don't even pay attention
Yeah,
sometimes.
Kevin Bacon. What was that? Of course, I didn't see him in Hollow Man.
What?
I didn't. I didn't. It was Sleepers, I think, that we were thinking of.
Oh, well,
That was the movie. Let's see, Footloose, Taking Chance, Sleepers, Mystic River, The Following. He was good in The Following. Did you see that show?
oh yeah, I actually really like that show.
Loved that show.
And sleepers and what was the other
He
one?
was in
I
Flatliners.
was gonna say he was in Flatliners. I know the difference because Sleepers is a really deep movie, and he's a real piece of shit in that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, Flatliners is a good one too. I just haven't seen it in so long. I was pretty sure he was in that.
this dude has done so much stuff. He has done so much stuff.
Oh, I know. I mean, Tremors is one of my favorite movies. Me and
Oh
my
yeah,
kids love it. As a kid, I always loved that.
he's hilarious in Tremors.
Oh yeah, yeah. What was that one movie that he did? Where God, I love this movie too. It's where he gets they're at a party and he's able to see what happened to this girl that was killed.
Stir of Echoes.
Stir of Echoes. Yeah,
Yeah, that was an amazing movie.
That was a really good one. It flies under the radar for a lot of people, I think, but it's a
Yeah,
really
no,
good one.
Stir of Echoes is definitely one that we need to see. Oh yeah, he was in Friday the 13th as well.
Oh yeah, the
Forgot
original.
about that.
Yeah, he lit up a joint and got an arrow through the throat. Probably
Yes, he did. That just goes to show you, why is it not on here? Anyways, he's an under. I think I love the fact that he's coming back around. It's not just the old 80s and 90s stuff. He's doing really cool stuff. And The Bondsman was, in my opinion, just showed some more of his range.
I'll have to check that one out then.
You do. It's so
Yeah.
good. It's hilarious.
Yeah, because I really like that. Oh really?
It's hilarious. You're gonna, yeah.
Okay, I can dig that. See, because I really like The Following. That was
Love
pretty
The
interesting.
Following.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I can dig this. And I
Yeah,
was really
that was
upset when he didn't.
that was the Edgar Allan Poe one,
Was it?
right? Yeah.
The Following that I'm thinking of was the cult one, where the guy kept getting out of prison and he was a serial killer, but like he also had followers and shit.
Yeah. It was they all based their little following cult thing around Edgar Allan Poe.
That's okay. It's been a minute since I've watched it. Okay, I
Yes.
forgot about that.
But
Yeah.
the guy, I can't remember his name, who was in this with him. Nico Tortorella.
The name sounds familiar.
Nope,
I'm pretty
not
sure
him.
about.
No, Aiden Cantu. Aiden Cantu.
Yes.
Good looking dude for one.
I was sitting trying to figure out. You talking about the main bad guy in that?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's a supporting actor in it. This guy ended up passing away in 2024 from cancer.
Oh God.
He was an amazing actor. He was like only 40. Yeah. Oh, that explains a lot. He was born in Mexico, and I love Mexicans. I think they're so good looking.
I mean, I'm wearing a Cypress Hill t-shirt right now, so I'm down.
Just saying.
Cool. I'm cool with them. I like me some Latin ladies.
But yeah, he was such a, and he was also in Designated Survivor too. He played, I think he played Kiefer Sutherland's right-hand guy in Designated Survivor, which I had not seen, but
I've never heard of it.
Good show, actually. It's about the presidential cabinet. They designate one survivor to go sit in a room when they have like major events and stuff like that. Someone that will get it down the line so that the presidency can go on. And Kiefer Sutherland, it's his turn, and shit happens. Shit pops off. We get targeted and explosion and or we got something happened where all of the White House was killed and he was left. So he
Okay.
becomes president. And they're trying to like it was almost kind of 24-ish, but not.
Right. Yeah.
So, and you know, Kiefer never lets us down. Never. He's always been an awesome actor.
I've always liked Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
Like he's there's a lot of movies from him that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Which they was one of them's Young Guns, and apparently there's a third one coming out.
No way.
Yeah, it's already been. It's going to have Kristen Slater, Lou Diamond Phillips, and Kiefer Sutherland, and or I think no, not Kiefer Sutherland. Emilio Estevez.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I saw Lou Diamond Phillips at a convention that I was at last year, and he's not aging too badly.
right.
So this might be okay. Christian
I
Slater's not aging badly either.
No, all of them look pretty decent. They look pretty much the same. The only thing about Emilio Estevez is he's starting to look like his dad, Martin Sheen.
God, is he?
He looks just like his dad. But but you don't really see. He dropped out for a long time, so it would be
Yeah.
good. It would be good. I'm still because like the guys on Video Store Clerks, they all met Lou Diamond Phillips last year too,
Yeah.
and they even talked to him about it, and he's like, there's a script. I've had the script forever. We're just trying to And
Wow.
then I found out the other day I was watching a thing where he's on some interview and it's on some like red carpet thing or something, and they're like,
So
"Is
is he
it
going to be
true?"
Chavez again?
I guess I don't know.
Chavez!
I don't know what angle they're gonna do with it, but I mean, because like all of them just about all of them died in the first one.
It's 'cause they're not young guns either.
Yeah,
They're old now. It's kind
yeah.
of in the title.
Which I mean, I guess if if Emilio's going to be in it, I'm guessing they're going to go with the Billy the Kid. Like he didn't, because they went to the idea that he didn't die.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
which
that is
it's a
the
real thing.
conjecture.
That's a
Yeah.
real thing. We don't know if he actually died or if he lived for many years.
Right.
And
We have no clue.
yeah, so it'd be kind of interesting to see where they go with that. I'm guessing that Chavez didn't really die, or he's going to be like some spirit or some shit. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, because like
Come back to his
yeah,
kid or something, his great grandson or some shit.
that could be a thing too. I don't.
It
There's
really,
nothing being said about it, but
yeah.
I'm an old school like Young Guns fan. Like so, I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
Usually when they fucking bring back these fucking movies that we haven't seen since fucking fuck knows when, it doesn't usually turn out the greatest.
It
Beetlejuice 2
never does.
sucked ass. Okay.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice was fucking lazy and stupid. It was bad. Bad.
The only thing that I liked, the one part when when they're out on the porch and the three women are out on the porch and what was her name? Damn it, I can't remember her name. They're watching baseball downstairs. I'm sorry if you can hear it. I hope you can't. But
I thought it was my kid in the other room, so it's okay.
nope. No, they're watching baseball downstairs.
No big.
And my husband's a huge baseball fan, so
I get it.
But no, what's Lydia? Lydia, her daughter, and Lydia's stepmom.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name. And they're talking. Lydia and her daughter are talking, and her daughter says something to her. And Lydia looks at her stepmom, and her stepmom goes, "Don't be mad. It's karma," or something like that. It was the funniest thing. Don't be mad. It's karma. It's just like, this is just payback.
That movie. No, see, like I a lot of times, like when they do that, just have not been that great. That was one. That one was one that just did not make a lot of sense in a lot of ways. They also made sure to have the father's face in there every chance they got when they said that they weren't going to have anything that he wasn't going to be in it. I was fine with like them showing how he died and all that.
Mhm.
Fine. But the guy did some pretty horrible things and doesn't belong anywhere where anybody can see his face. And they put his face in there through a drawing or through a picture or whatever. It was 4 different times in that. And I'm like, man, come the fuck on. Like,
Yeah.
and then it didn't even make sense. He's walking around with no head. blood spurting out of his like there's no mouth, nothing. How is he fucking talking?
Yeah. I
Like it
don't
doesn't.
that didn't make sense to me either. I
Beetlejuice working
mean,
in a fucking office in the afterlife. Shut the fuck up. That goes against everything when he did. Not to
he
mention the
has
fact
no
that
eyes.
well, and the thing is, Beetlejuice didn't the makeup they did on Keaton
Yeah.
sucked. It looked like makeup. It's like
You
I
think
want.
so?
Yeah, it looked horrible. If you look at the original, which is a
Uh,
goddamn one of my favorite movies of all time, when you look at the
I'd have
original
to
of
do
that,
side by side.
look at the fucking makeup. It was a little bit more grotesque. It was a little bit more like he had the nastiness and stuff. And
Mhm.
then in this one, he was more polished, and it
Well,
looked
he
like
had an office job now. He was in charge of all the bobs.
he's a fucking rebel. He's a fucking demon. Shut the fuck up with that bullshit. Tim Burton, fucking go somewhere else. Like, just make something fresh. Just stop making movies you shouldn't. Must we remind him of that fucking Willy Wonka movie?
Oh,
Oh,
are we done? Which one? Which
the
one?
one, the one with Johnny Depp,
Oh,
Charlie and the Chocolate, whatever the fuck it was. The
yeah.
only
Charlie
fun,
and the Chocolate Factory.
the only funny thing in that movie, the only part that I liked was when they go into the like when he's showing all like the big room full of all the candy and you can eat everything, and
Hmm.
like the edible room,
Yeah.
and the kid's like, you can eat everything in here. He's like, yeah, in this room you can eat everything, including me. That's cannibalism, and most part of the world looks down upon that. Like for some reason that cracked me the fuck up, but the rest of that movie is garbage.
I did not. I think maybe I saw it once, or maybe only parts while the kids were watching it. I could not. I could not. It was
I
not.
saw I saw it in the theater, and then told my parents I'd pay them back. They're like, "What?" I was like, "The movie sucked. I'm sorry you paid for it." I'm like, I will get you back one of these days. I still owe you.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Well, I hate to do this. We've been talking almost 2 hours.
I figured that'd be about the run.
Yeah, I mean, we've always said, it's just like talking old friends, but we still haven't even touched yet again, still haven't touched on anything paranormal. So I'll have to have you back on. Darn.
You know, holler at me. I'm down.
I know the drill.
Exactly.
Tell
Exactly.
everybody where they can find you.
Amazon for my books. You can find on Amazon. You can go to C.A. Bainham Books Press. I got to remember which one it is. It's one of those. But if you just go to Amazon, my stuff's on there. My Chuck Nasty page on Facebook. And let's see what else. Feel free that any books that you get of mine, feel free to give me a review. Again, I don't care if it's good or bad, but just let me know you read it and it made you feel something. My band, Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat, you can find us on Bandcamp, YouTube, Spotify. Our latest album, Decay of Man, is on all those platforms.
Nice.
And which we have stuff we're working on. We're getting ready to start recording again for our follow up. Let's see. Yeah, Rocking Chair, Twisted Eyeball Juice, two newest ones that came out. Highly recommend some of my favorite stories that I've written in for both of those. And I've got some stuff coming up. I've got a couple of collaborations that just started that I'm really proud about. I'm not saying names yet. And I've also this close to finishing up Fresh Kills 2. I've got one more story I got to write for it, and then I'll have that out here soon. Which sucks because I will say this: I wrote the last story. I was almost done, and then I realized
You're not done?
I realized the last story doesn't fit. So I
Oh,
erased about fucking 30, 40 pages and said, "Fuck it, I'm starting over."
you didn't just like cut and
No,
paste onto another document and
no,
maybe used it for later?
no, because I didn't want to. Sometimes that's
Oh,
the other thing I was going to say earlier, real quick before we go.
no, that's fine.
Sometimes you have to kill your darlings, and it's not always fun. But sometimes there's paragraphs, there's pages you got to get rid of, and in
Yeah,
the end, you
that's true.
realize it was a good idea.
That's
But
true.
so that's
Not
just
even save it for late. Mm.
no, no. The important ones stay here. The important
Okay.
ideas stay here,
Okay.
and I get backed up as it is. But that's just how it goes. If you keep thinking about it, it means you probably should go with it. If you don't think about it and something reminds you of it later on, you go, "Hey, it wasn't really that important anyway." You
Got
know.
it.
But those are all
Okay.
the places. And Video Store Clerks on Tuesday nights. on Facebook, YouTube. Yeah. So
do you have a YouTube channel for that?
yeah, Video Store Cloaks podcast. Yeah,
Okay.
just go check that out. Yeah, there's all kinds of
Like and
episodes.
subscribe, everybody. Like and subscribe.
Definitely, definitely.
Help out some folks.
Yeah, we just had our 151st, 52nd episode. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know anything about it, and I'm gonna have to like and subscribe.
You should.
I got you. I got
Check
you.
it out.
I will.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. I am Jenn Folk for today's episode of Folking Around. So make sure you come back. We are going to do a live show one Saturday coming up soon. It's going to be one Saturday a month. We're going to have a live show. We're going to have a few different people on, and then you can chit chat with people. But yeah, definitely like and subscribe our channel, Travelin' Folks. This is a whole new venture for me, so I really appreciate it. Thank you for being my number one, Chuck. I appreciate you.
I do what I can. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Thank you. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.